Goodbye to your old life. Welcome to your new one. I hope the best for you, your family, and society upon your return. That inside edge has given you all that you need to take control of yourself and become the powerful, reliable, trustworthy person that you know deep inside you can be. After reading this today, it's all up to you now. And whatever happens is all because of you. Many before you have risen from their incarceration like a phoenix from the fire, and many after you will do it. Will you allow yourself to be broken by the hardships of your circumstances, or demand yourself to be empowered by the exclusive challenges of your inevitable journey? It all begins and ends with you, for you, by you. And now I have given you the inside edge over all who don't know what you now know. Here's a list of some ex-cons who came out of prison greater than they were when they went in. Now it's your turn. 10 famous ex-cons who turned it around. Written by criminaljustice.com staff, last updated May 29, 2020. Many convicts spend their lives going in and out of jail, never getting on the right track. But there are some who do make it out of the slammer and completely turn their lives around for the better. These people deserve some recognition for proving that criminals can be rehabilitated. Here's a look at 10 famous ex-cons who turned it around and have successfully avoided getting drawn back into the bad habits that got them thrown into the clink in the first place. Number 1, Charles Colson. Charles Colson worked as the former special counsel for President Richard Nixon from 1969 to 1973 and was best known for being part of the Watergate 7. Colson pleaded guilty to Watergate-related charges and to obstruction of justice. He was sentenced for 1 to 2 years in prison, but only served 7 months at the federal maximum prison in Alabama. Colson made a change for the good while in prison. He converted to Christianity and became deeply impacted by the people he met there. Following his release, Colson started Prison Fellowship, a national ministry that helps prisoners develop or restore a relationship with Christ. Colson's touching program has helped prisoners live a better life and strengthen their spirit. Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart is best known as a business mogul and domestic diva, but her image certainly changed when she was convicted of conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and 2 counts of making false statements. Essentially, Stewart lied to investigators about a stock sale and was later sentenced to 5 months in federal prison. After her release from Alderson Federal Prison Camp, Stewart launched her comeback. She returned to television with the Martha Stewart Show, released a couple books, and took on several new projects that helped rebrand her name and reputation. Robert Downey Jr. From 1996 to 2001, Robert Downey Jr. was one of Hollywood's biggest bad boys. The actor was arrested several times during these years for drug-related charges involving possession of cocaine, heroin, and marijuana. Downey has battled substance abuse for the majority of his life and was unsuccessful in his drug treatment programs. He was constantly on probation and spent a year in California's substance abuse treatment facility and state prison in Corcoran, California. Downey eventually battled his addictions and made a highly successful comeback, starring in several blockbuster hits. Michael Vick. When Michael Vick was arrested for running an illegal interstate dogfighting ring and sentenced to 3 years in prison, football fans didn't know if he'd ever return to the game. Vick pleaded guilty to federal charges to serve 18 months in prison. After his release, Vick signed with the Philadelphia Eagles and made a successful comeback. During this return season, Vick threw his longest touchdown pass of his career and helped his team win the NFC East title after stepping up as the starter quarterback. As part of his probationary obligations, Vick continues to speak to local youth about his mistakes and how to avoid a troubled life. Tim Allen. In the beginning of Tim Allen's comedic career, he was arrested at the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport in Michigan for possession of cocaine. Allen had just under 1.5 pounds of cocaine on him and was charged with drug trafficking. Because Allen disclosed the names of the other drug dealers, his original life sentencing was shortened to 3 to 7 years. Shame on you, Allen. Allen was paroled after serving 2 years and 4 months at the Federal Correctional Institution in Sandstone, Minnesota. The ex-convict quickly turned his life around after prison and became one of America's favorite comedic actors. Nicole Richie. Nicole Richie was most widely known for being a troubled teen with a reckless lifestyle until she finally turned her life around. In 2003, Richie was arrested and charged with possession of heroin and driving with a suspended driver's license. 3 years later, she was arrested again for a DUI after failing a sobriety test and reportedly driving the opposite way on the freeway. She was sentenced to 4 days in jail, but only served 82 minutes at the Century Regional Detention Center in Linwood, California. After a short stint in jail, Richie enrolled in an 18-month anti-drinking driver education program in order to get sober. Richie gave up her bad girl ways to focus on her career as a fashion designer, author, and mother of 2. Christian Slater. Christian Slater's acting career took a beating when he was arrested 3 times from 1989 to 1997. His first run-in with the law was in 1989 when he was arrested for drunk driving and assault. In 1994, Slater was arrested for trying to board a plane with a gun in his luggage. His last conviction was for assaulting his then-girlfriend and a police officer who was trying to defend her. He was also under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Slater attended a rehabilitation facility for 100 days and then served 59 days in jail. After his release from jail, Slater made a successful comeback in television and film and turned his life around for the better. 50 Cent. Rap superstar 50 Cent, also known by his real name Curtis Jackson III, was arrested on drug-related charges and sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison in 1994. Back then, Jackson was still an aspiring rapper who was determined to make something of himself after his release. 50 Cent did his time in an abbreviated 6-month boot camp and earned his GED. After his release from behind bars, 50 Cent began rapping and his popularity surged with the release of his first album in 2000. Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo earned his label as Hollywood's most notable Mexican bad guy from his own experiences in The Slammer. The heavily tattooed tough guy spent years in Los Angeles prison for drug-related and robbery charges. There, Trejo got his life together and finally got clean. Since his release from prison, Trejo has gone on to star in several action films and television series. Marion Jones. Marion Jones was a world-famous Olympian who won 5 medals in track and field at the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia, but was later stripped of her medals when she admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs for the competition. She was convicted of perjury and obstruction of justice for her use of steroids and her involvement in a check fraud scheme. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison and turned it around after her release. In 2010, Jones made a sports comeback as a point guard for the WNBA Tulsa Shock. Nelson Mandela. Mandela served 27 years in prison, split between Robben Island, Paulsmere Prison, and Victor Vester Prison. Amid growing domestic and international pressure and fears of racial civil war, President F.W. de Klerk released him in 1990. Mandela and de Klerk led efforts to negotiate an end to apartheid, which resulted in the 1994 multiracial general election, in which Mandela led the ANC to victory and became president. Leading a broad coalition government which promulgated a new constitution, Mandela emphasized reconciliation between the country's racial groups and created the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate past human rights abuses. Economically, his administration retained its predecessor's liberal framework despite his own socialist beliefs, also introducing measures to encourage land reform, combat poverty, and expand healthcare services. Internationally, Mandela acted as a mediator in the Pan Am Flight 103 bombing trial and served as Secretary General of the Non-Aligned Movement from 1998 to 1999. He declined a second presidential term and was succeeded by his deputy, Thabo Mbeki. Mandela became an elder statesman and focused on combating poverty and AIDS through the charitable Nelson Mandela Foundation. Mandela was a controversial figure for most of his life. Although critics on the right denounced him as a communist terrorist and those on the far left deemed him too eager to negotiate and reconcile with apartheid supporters, He gained international acclaim for his activism. Globally regarded as an icon of democracy and social justice, he received more than 250 honors, including the Nobel Peace Prize. He is held in deep respect within South Africa, where he is often referred to by his Thimble clan name, Madiba, and described as the father of the nation. So seeing right there from that read, many people have went to prison and came out and became successful. So this is not the end of your life, it's the beginning of a new chapter. And that can go with anything, it go with, deaths in the family, something, any kind of mishap occurring to you. We learn from these things, these mistakes. We learn to struggle and do it through the pain. Don't get on drugs. Don't get medicated. Seek counseling. If you are getting on any kind of medication, make sure you're getting counseled as you're medicated so they can get you off that medication. The whole idea of bad things happening to us is for us to get stronger. We can't get stronger if we're out of our mind, because our mind is telling us that it's okay, that nothing's happening. And then we kind of come off the drugs and we haven't learned how to deal with it. We have to learn how to deal with hardships. And then that makes us a stronger, more valuable human being, or else we stay emotionally childish and we can't get along with anybody. We can't get our life straightened out because we're still stuck at that moment that we decided to get drugged or decided not to take the step to better ourselves. And that shows you there are some people who did.